Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Walid Uthman. Today I will be presenting my presentation for FYP1 Progress 1, which is for my system, which is Better Future, which is an intelligent habit tracking and scheduling system. And before I start, I would like to thank my supervisor, Dr. Muhammad Luqman, for all of his guidance and help throughout this progress. So, for our presentation today, we have the presentation content, which is composed of the introduction and the literature review. So for the introduction, we'll be discussing the problem background, the project aim, the project scope, and the project objectives. And for the literature review, we'll be discussing the current systems that exist, such as Habitica, Todoist, and HabitNow. And finally, we'll be also discussing the technologies to be used in the system to be developed. So for the problem background, so many students face issues with building structured routines because of reasons such as procrastination and poor time management. And students rely on efficient planning methods. For example, many students rely on manually writing down their habits in a notepad or in a digital planner. And these methods are fine, but the problem with these methods is that you have to manually write down each habit, and you have to also specify the date and time for each habit and how long you're going to be doing the habit for. And let's say, for example, if you want to add a new habit, it's very hard because also you have to manually add the new habit and manually configure the schedule to fit the new habit, which overall makes the whole method very inefficient. And existing tools provide only basic tracking. So as we'll discuss later in the literature review part, we're going to be reviewing some of these current systems that exist. So most of the current systems, they allow the basic habit tracking and scheduling. They allow the user to add their habits and make a schedule, and it's automated. But the thing is, with current systems, they still lack the innovation. They still lack the current technologies of artificial intelligence. They still did not properly incorporate that into habit tracking and scheduling systems. So with this project, I hope to innovate and create something that is new and unique. So the project aim. So this project aims to build an intelligent mobile application which aids students in organizing, tracking, and scheduling their habits in order to build a structured routine. So for the project objectives, the first objective is to elicit and analyze the requirements and needs of UTM students for the system. The second objective is to design the architectural models, user interface, and database for the system based on the requirements and design models. And the third objective is to develop the system based on design models. And finally, the fourth objective is to evaluate and validate the proposed system. So the project scope. So the main target of the project is UTM students, because UTM students were the main target of the survey, which was done to elicit the requirements of the project. So most of the requirements came as a response to the needs and problems of UTM students and their requests, which makes them the main target of the project. And the system is a mobile-based application, which is also requested by the students surveyed. The majority of students requested that the system is better suited to be a mobile application. So, and for the third scope, the system can be accessed by any individual, but it's most tailored for students. The reason being is because students are, as I said, they are the main source of requirements. So the project is more targeted towards them. So for the literature review, we'll be reviewing the current systems that exist. So the current systems that will be reviewed are Habitica, Todoist, and HabitNow. So Habitica contains advantages and disadvantages which we will discuss. So some of the advantages of Habitica is that its user interface is very unique, it's very fun and engaging. It looks like a video game and it contains video game features. For example, you can add habits, and every time you successfully perform a habit, you will gain some type of currency, some type of virtual currency inside of the game, which you can use to upgrade your character. When in the game you have a character, you can use it to buy things for the character, which makes the process very fun and engaging and makes you much more likely to retain your habits as a result of that. And the second advantage of Habitica is social features. So Habitica has social features such as parties, guilds, and challenges. So, okay, to explain this, so by parties and guilds, it means users can join groups, and inside of the groups, they can take on challenges, and these challenges are usually um, consist of habits, consist of users competing together, and the user that completes the most habits, they are at the top of the challenge, or the users collaborate together to complete the challenge, and the challenge depends on the habits that the users are successfully performing. So the users collectively perform habits successfully, and it leads to more completion of the challenge, which further increases the engagement of the users. So for disadvantages, Habitica does not provide a clear tracking. So what does that mean? So Habitica does not have a feature that allows the user to review their progress. So the user cannot see how much habits, for example, he done over the last week. He cannot see any analysis of the habits, which is the disadvantage. And second disadvantage is that Habitica lacks intelligent features. So Habitica uses very simplistic tracking and scheduling. So the second system which will be analyzed is Todoist. So the advantage of Todoist is that it has a project feature. So the project feature, it's different than the challenges in Habitica, because the project features, it's more of a professional feature. So it's for a team, for example, like in a company, to work together uh, on a project, for example, and they specify a list of tasks and they assign each each member to a task. So which is a unique feature that only exists in Todoist. And the second advantage is that it provides tracking of the user's overall progress. So there is a feature in the application where the user can view statistics and analysis of his overall progress, like how many habits the users have performed in the past week, for example. And for disadvantages, the user interface is very bland and unexciting. Tracking is very simple and it does not focus on recurring habits. So the tracking in Todoist is uh, is very similar to Habitica in the sense is that it's still very simple. It does not contain any intelligent features, and it's just a simple tracking application. So Habit Now, the advantage of Habit Now is that it provides a detailed tracking of each habit. So unlike the two previous applications, Habit Now actually gives you a detailed statistics analysis of each habit. So you're not only limited to the overall progress like with Todoist. You can in Habit Now you can see the statistics with each habit, and it allows the customization of habits. So when you're creating a habit, it allows you to choose a category for the habit, it allows you to set a priority, it allows you to set a frequency and a start date and end date, which it has a very high range of customization. For the disadvantages, uh, tracking more than a specific amount of habits requires payment, and similar to the two previous applications, also lacks intelligent features, and it's based on a simple tracking and scheduling system. So the technologies to be used in this system. So for the front end, I'll be using Flutter because Flutter is very optimized for mobile applications, for mobile application programming. It contains all the technologies that are required to be able to create an efficient mobile application. For the backend, I'll be using Firebase because is Firebase is very compatible with Flutter, and it contains many many great features such as Firebase authentication and the Google sign-in and many other features. And for the AI technologies to be used, so for machine learning, I'll mainly be using Python because Python is the best language for machine learning because it contains the most amount of libraries that exist and many models. So Python will mainly be the main programming language that will be used for AI, for machine learning. And Gemini API, it's a generative AI API, and it can be used for the AI habit recommendation system because it allows natural language processing. So using that, maybe I will use the queries of the user and give it to the Gemini API, and through the Gemini API, we can get things like based on the user query, the user list of habits, we can get new recommendations for new habits, which can be provided through the Gemini API. And for the hardware that will mainly be used are smartphones because smartphones are very accessible, they are very available, and they are very easy to use. And for a system such as a habit tracking and schedule application, it's very important to have this system in a device that is nearby, that is close by, and that is very easy to just open and use. And thank you very much. That's all for the presentation.